Are classic playing cards kosher?
There's a lot that could be said about this, but just let's touch on a few points. The first point, obviously, is actual gambling. Actual gambling is something which is, Jews don't gamble. Someone who gambles, it says he's pasal le'edus. There's two issues that there are with gambling. One of them is wasting time. Wasting time meaning a person who's involved, instead of being involved with a proper livelihood, he's involved with foolish things, which means he makes his livelihood in a foolish way, in a way which isn't straight, which isn't direct, and a person like that is not believed in Eidos. He's not believed to testify in court, because that shows that he's not a respectful person. It's like a person who walks around in the street and he's not dressed properly. Such a person, he doesn't have self-respect. If he doesn't have self-respect, he can't be believed to testify in court. And same thing over here, if the person, his livelihood is not a normal livelihood, but rather his livelihood is he's busy a whole day with things which are called empty things, and this is where he makes his livelihood from it. So that means he has no self-respect, so he's also not believed to tell the truth. But that's only if he does it all the time, and that's what he does as a business, so to speak. Then there's another reason, and the reason is called because it's an asmachta. Asmachta, we say when a person goes and puts down the money and says, if I win the game, I'm going to give you so and so amount, he's really hoping and thinking that that he's going to win the game, not that he'll lose the game. So he doesn't really want to give over the money to the other person. When the other person takes the money, it's, even if it's not actual theft, it's at least avak, it's at least a concept which is connected and which has to do with theft. That's actual gambling, and therefore gambling is certainly something which we don't do, and it may have even a prohibition of theft in it, or at least somewhat a concept of theft, and certainly it affects the person's faithfulness and belief in as an aid. But even if a person's playing cards and not gambling, the actual poker cards is brought down in many Sfarim that poker cards is something which, besides for the issue, which is definitely an issue which people don't even realize and understand, that's probably one of the biggest issues which is not mentioned, and that is wasting time. When a person plays, for example, a chess game, there's a chachma, there's a wisdom, there's an intellectual stimulation in it. It's not just a game of luck. When a person plays sports, he's exercising his body. When a person just plays cards, that's a game which is made to just waste time. Wasting time is wasting life. It's something which is the worst thing for a Jew. In addition to that, it's something which obviously is wasting time from learning Torah, but without any real meaning to it, without any real purpose to it. In addition to that, in many Sfarim it says that cards is something, a Ma'aseh Satan, the Bnei Yisachar brings some very strong things, and a lot of the Chassidish Sfarim bring that it's something which was created in order to try and take Jews away from learning Torah. It's a Ma'aseh Satan, in addition to the fact that it's brought that specifically the poker cards, the shapes that there are on it, they're each one mechuvan, they're each one, they express a certain klippa, and they're expressing ideas which were connected back then to Avodah Zarah, to idol worship. The shapes and the pictures that are on the cards were things which were made by the Goyim, and they were made in a manner that it was connected to things which are the total opposite of the holiness of a Jew, and on the contrary, the ideas of things which are klippa, things which are Avodah Zarah, and connected to idolatry, etc. So this is something which is brought in this forum, and again, I'm not going into all the specifics that are brought because there's a great length. I don't want to start because it's let everyone look and see. There's a lot of strong words that are brought in Sfarim specifically about these specific poker cards. Rather, if a child needs to play a game of cards, and specifically that's the game he wants to play, There's Uno cards, there's other types of cards that don't have those shapes, that don't have those pictures. Many of those card games also have things which are a little more than luck, because there's also ideas that one has to use a little bit of brains and a little bit of understanding to do it. And so the general idea is, when playing a game, it's definitely much better and much more preferable to play a game when one has to use their mind for it, or like we said, a sports game when one's using their actual body, when one's actually exercising their body. But definitely, if it does come to playing cards, one should certainly not use these cards, which are goyish and which have in them strong, as the earlier Hasidic great rabbis and other great rabbis wrote, that there's a lot of klippa connected to it, a lot of evil that's connected to it, and rather you should use cards that aren't this type of cards.